Welcome to another edition of the Stack Supplement Podcast. We go down all of the top stories and exciting announcements shared on our website from the past 7 days. And as you can see, I am back in the original office, the main headquarters, after going from country to country to country for the last 2 months. I don't think I've been in a central place, as you will have seen from the backgrounds in the last few podcasts. Bridging a full loop around the world, but yeah, we're getting straight back into it. First episode back in the main desk, and we're going to kick off with a bit of admin stuff, which I think is pretty worthwhile, and something I've actually wanted to do to the website for a very, very, very long time, and that is it's basically in-house or on-site tracking, as opposed to a sort of a third-party system. Basically what it does is it records, I guess, how many times each page or each post is read, and then it throws up a little emoji at the bottom. We put a post out on Stack today just to let everyone know it's not a bug or anything like that, which it can look like. The emoji is just sort of the simplified finishing touch, I guess. It could be replicated by making the post bigger, it could, whatever it is, but at the moment, at the bottom of each post, you'll see a little emoji which sort of explains or describes the amount of views each post has received. To start, we've got, I can't remember the exact numbers, but there's a giant smiley face or a very ecstatic smiley face, then a moderate smiley face, and then a very basic smiley face. And the more ecstatic one means that the post has been read in the thousands. I think the next one down is closer to 1,000 or something like that, and then the bottom one is just basically all the way to 0. So the default would be that. But the idea is basically to give you an idea on sort of topics that have maybe taken off, picked up, just a little indicator for readers to see, like, oh wow, this is a very popular story. And we can also change those ranges. So it could be, instead of 3 smiley faces or even 3 emojis, it could be a point scale. It could be a graph that puts it red hot or whatever. And then we can also do pages that sort of say, like, this is the most read post this week, and sort of measure of the posts shared this week, which is the highest rated one and whatnot. And again, there are a lot of implications for us to use, but it is in its infancy stage, but the base is there. It's implemented after doing a lot of sort of thinking into this one, and you can now see it firsthand. Again, not a bug at the end of that. And additionally, something that hasn't been announced on Stack that is going to be happening very soon is the Clash of the Cans. This is it's like a 5-pound trophy. That is Clash of the Cans. That is basically our protein wars for energy drinks, where we get everyone and anyone to vote on what they think is the best, well, their favorite energy drink, basically. It's a great way to get everybody involved, to get everybody taking part, and it gives you a good idea on, I guess, which energy drink has the most fans, or which energy drink our fan base or readers enjoy the most, whatever it may be, and who takes the title at the end of the day. It is a ladder style competition, and we are doing things differently this year. We've changed things up in voting throughout the years, but this year I am doing a little bit of tweaking in terms of mostly how probably the semi-final and grand final stages will take place. In the early stages, it'll be as straightforward as it is. We vote across the week. Next stage, vote across the week. And I think semi-final or grand final, I'm not sure quite yet. But basically, it'll be a scoring system. And what I mean by that is that the concept is, and I think this is just a great way to ensure sort of almost kind of like the ladder style NBA knockouts. That grand final is not the best of one game, it's the best of first to whatever. And so the idea is that we kind of do the same. We kind of do that here. And so instead of having the most votes after the 7 days, we are going to have the most votes received in comparison. So let's just say it's energy drink 1 versus energy drink A versus B. Monday, A gets 500 votes, B gets 100 votes. Day 2, A, same result. Day 3, same result. Day 4, same result. But then day 5, B comes back and gets 20,000 votes, and A is still sort of sitting on that typical 400 or whatever, and so on and so on. It wouldn't necessarily matter how many votes they get in total. It is going to be based on how many days each one won. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting way to do things. It's going to take me a little bit more energy and inspecting on the back end to sort of see who wins each day and whatnot. And I probably will be going out and announcing, so hey, so and so won day one, so and so won day two. But then I'm sort of tossing up if they win 4 days straight. Who gives a shit on the last three, really? So I'm tossing up whether or not to do that. But that'll give you an idea on what that one's going to be about. And again, it's an effort to make sure that the whole week isn't just whatever, and everyone can just, a brand can push for 5 days and get as many votes as it can, and then someone can do an enormous amount of push on Saturday and still win. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the other one. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. The announcement will be coming soon. I believe Clash of the Cans for 2024 is happening in mid-June. I have not set a date. I haven't thought anything further than just that statement there. I think I knew it was going to be in June. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But let's get straight into the updates, the news and updates of the week. And there were quite a bit, but most of them centered around a lot of big brands, a lot of key brands. The first story we're going to go to is the team at Sneak, and I thought this was just tremendously badass. So Sneak, if you are not aware of them, it's a UK-based gaming supplement company, and they know how to do marketing like nobody else. In fact, I still stand by what I've said numerous times before. When it comes to marketing and supplements, I don't think anyone in the entire supplement industry, even though Sneak is a gaming brand, I don't think anyone does it better than them. So what they've done this more recently, they did a special edition. It appears to be a collaboration, right? It appears to be a collab, authentic collab with a science fiction film. I think the name is Galactic Battles, the Energy Wizards Ascension is the name of the film. And they did 2 special edition bottles, basically a black with red and a light bottle. Each of them are different flavors. I believe there's strawberry, cranberry, and raspberry is the taste of the Starberry Blast. And then the other one they have is Pina Colada, which is a Pina Colada flavor. Now, the interesting thing about this, and if you go on YouTube, or in fact we have the post on the top of our site on the page, you can see a quick behind-the-scenes video of the creation of Galactic Battles, and it doesn't take you long to realize they made up this whole movie, this whole thing, this whole concept of a science fiction film. Galactic Battles is not real. They've just created it to then have this collaboration to be able to do these flavors, and it is incredibly entertaining. Just the behind-the-scenes video and the whole sort of how they've presented Galactic Battles, not to mention that they created for the sole purpose of then doing a collab of 2 flavors. It's the entire approach is hilarious, and when you think about it, so the product is dropping May 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, May 2nd or May 3rd. I think it's May 2nd, which, when you realize Galactic Battles, it's a science fiction film, they have a black and red special edition flavor, then they have a white and blue, good versus dark. Star Wars Day is indeed coming up. May the 4th be with you. May 4th, 2 days after May 2nd. I'm gathering this is sort of their take on that. They haven't mentioned anything like that, but you cannot have a good side, dark side, science fiction, and all this and on May 2nd, no less, 2 days out from Star Wars Day. I think this is sort of their take on that. They have done things like this before where they did, was it Blank Friday? For Black Friday, they did Blank Friday, and I think it was like that was where they did the blank tub with absolutely nothing on the packaging. So yeah, it's well worth checking out. Just the whole presentation of what they did, everything that kind of went into it was just very, very, very cool. Again, creating this whole thing, this whole concept to then make a collaboration for. Again, they always do really good. So it's great to see them continue to do that. Next up, we're going to go over to not a brand, not a supplement. Basically a type of supplement, specifically in New York. This story basically came out because this is when this whole thing took place. So last week, a new legislation or law came into place where individuals under the age of 18 could not purchase muscle building and weight loss supplements legally over the counter, again specifically in New York. And it obviously got a lot of attention, a lot of mixed comments, a lot of different comments. People hating it, some people not caring, a lot of people kind of argue. It was it is obviously tough, I guess, if you were already buying these supplements because it does encompass quite a bit. So the when we were reading it, it doesn't really say a list of ingredients. So it doesn't say anything containing this, this, and this. It just says a few ingredients, and then the overarching application is that any supplement that has or is marketed for the purpose of muscle building or weight loss, which that is a very, very big, it's not a statement, but as a giant, I guess, area, because we mentioned in our post, we did 2 posts last week. I'm sure if you just type in New York law, it'll come up, but it encompasses a lot. So the ingredients they mentioned, sort of they just said as an example in the whole thing, was creatine, which was a big one. I think green tea was in there. Raspberry ketones, oddly enough, I mean, it is seen in fat burners, but not so much in the more recent years. I would say that's more of a 6, 7, 8-year-old thing. But again, these were ingredients they named. But if, let's just say I had let's say I had an amino acid supplement with carbohydrates, and I wrote on it builds muscle strength or whatever. Based on what I read, that would mean this you cannot buy this under the age of 18. So even if it's something as straightforward as carbohydrates with amino acids, the marketing purpose of it is that it builds muscle, so it's not included. Alternatively, if you just had a carbohydrate supplement with amino acids in it, and it didn't say anything about muscle building, and it just said, fuel, performance fuel, energy to exercise, from my understanding, that wouldn't be covered. So you wouldn't be able to buy it under the age of 18 because it is just amino acids and carbohydrates. So there are a lot of intricacies to this thing, and I think it covers a lot of different products, a lot of different supplements, a lot of different ingredients, because again, you can get a multivitamin, and it may have something like, Luxogenin, Tribulus for whatever reason, and it might say muscle building support plus a multivitamin. Now you're ruled out. Multivitamin, but it has that muscle building attachment to it. And there are categories out there that just inherently promote muscle building, whether you're talking about like a GDA, which isn't inherently, or I guess specifically a muscle builder, but it can promote that sort of thing due to its benefits and the mechanisms in which it tries to do things. So it is a very, very broad, overreaching, extensively reaching law. And just, if you're in New York under the age of 18, you buy creatine, can't do that anymore, and you buy other supplements that say muscle building on them, you're going to be a bit out of luck. I did mention on one of our posts, if anybody has interactions or experiences with this whole thing, feel free to let me know, because I think it's a very interesting concept or just approach. I haven't seen anything like it throughout the rest of the US, let alone the world, but it would definitely be interesting to hear some other people within those circumstances that maybe they went to buy a supplement, they didn't think it was a muscle builder, but then they were told this. And then maybe they're explained to why. So I think it would be interesting to hear these stories and at the very least share them, pass them on, and give people a broader idea of what they can and cannot do. Because again, I think the whole structure of the thing does seem like it and covers a lot, but then may not cover some stuff. So yeah. But again, check out the site, the stories on the website. We break them all down as best we can. We're now going to shoot over to Myoks, who is the legendary Myoks, which has been around for a while, but disappeared off the map last year. Then all of a sudden it popped up under new ownership. The man, no pun intended, Stephen Salmon over at Man Sports has taken ownership of Myoks alongside Doug Miller of Core Nutritionals, Miracle Labs, Arms Race Nutrition, and now Unmatched Supplements with Chris Gethin. So those two have come on board and they're driving the train over there at Myoks, and that brand has just now officially relaunched. I think it was confirmed late last year that the two were becoming the minds behind it, and now it's finally come to market. They have relaunched with 4 supplements. There is Loco and Blow, the pre-workouts. There is 24/7 Aminos, and the other one was Skywalk. Now, Skywalk and Loco have undergone some changes. They are not very different, but somewhat different from the last versions you may have seen from Myoks. And then I believe Blow has stayed the same when I last checked, and I'm not sure about Aminos, but I imagine that it's aerolithium as well, because it was always a very straightforward all-9 EAA supplement. But yeah, you can check them out on the site. We broke down Loco and Skywalk because those were, like I said, they were reasonably heavily changed. But you can now get all of the supplements over at myblogsusa.com. The 2 pre-workouts are $44.99, and then you have Skywalk at $35, and then Amino, being a more essential style supplement, sits at $35. And if you are a fan of Myoks, obviously you know very well that they launched a mountain of supplements over the years. Contra, is it Rubik's? Was the fat burner, if I'm not mistaken? I have to look this. I have to just, I don't even think I wrote it down. Gotta kick myself if I got the name wrong. Supra, they did a whole bunch of supplements over the years. And even those supplements that they didn't necessarily have sort of brand names, they did do like a multivitamin, and they did a omega. I know they had some more essential health style stuff. Either way, none of those have come on board with the relaunch under, again, Stephen Salmon and Doug Miller's leadership. But that's not to say they aren't coming. Taking over a brand and relaunching it is no small feat. It's an intense task. And to relaunch with 4 supplements, it's pretty solid. 4 of their more popular ones. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some development from Myoks in the coming months. That, again, maybe some of those supplements come back. I think it would be a waste if they didn't bring them back, especially since Myoks had been around for several years, and things like Supra and even Contra had built quite solid names for themselves. From there, we're going to jump over to news from the BCAA legend Extend. So if anybody knows the history of BCAAs or just amino supplements, Extend has kind of been synonymous with BCAAs for several years, and they had stuck with BCAAs even throughout their whole uptick in EAA supplements. When TwinLab did their whole EAA thing, it pretty much encouraged or just put it out there that you can, EAAs are incredibly beneficial, and then I would say majority of the industry shifted to EAAs. The prices didn't jump up or anything like that. They just gave you all 9 rather than just BCAAs. And Extend did eventually join that train with Perfect 10, I think the name was. And it was all 9 EAAs plus arginine. Now, this past week, they came out with Extend EAA, so not Perfect 10, no sort of brand name, just a straightforward Extend EAA. And it is, of course, an EAA-based supplement, very different from, well, not very different, but in terms of just BCAA supplements, the other Extend supplements available don't have all 9. Extend EAA does. It has all 9 at a combined, it has all 9 plus arginine. So very similar concept to the Perfect 10 we got a few years ago. It has 10 grams of all 9 plus arginine. I believe it's 9.5 of the EAAs, because I think the arginine is at, 9.5. So the arginine is half a gram. And that's pretty much it. Does have pink Himalayan salt and potassium citrates for a bit of electrolytes, which is an added benefit that they Extend includes in its original amino cocktail. But yeah, very straightforward, very simple. And again, the first EAA we've seen from Extend since that Perfect 10 from several years ago, which has since been discontinued. They haven't doubled up. So this is, this is their only EAA available at the moment. Next up, we're going to we've got 2 stories to close this one out. We're going to talk about Performax Labs. Actually, we've got 3. So we're going to talk about Performax Labs and its powerhouse supplement hypermaxed out. Yes, hypermaxed out. So last year they launched it pretty much right in the climax or peak of the premium pre-workout trend, which, as I've mentioned before, is a pre-workout that costs more than a mainstream competitor and then gets you more for the money, basically. So instead of spending $40 and getting, just for argument's sake, 10 ingredients, a brand may make a premium pre-workout, gets $50 or $55, and it has 15 to 20. Not like, obviously not talking semantics and details about the ingredients, we're just saying they give you more for the price that you pay, hence the tag premium pre-workout. Performax did this. They have Hypermax, which is still our #1 pre-workout. I believe we're switching it to Hypermax now that it is an ongoing supplement, and that is exactly what the announcement this past week was, is that originally Hypermaxed Out was introduced as a limited edition premium pre-workout. So it was only around for a short amount of time. That was around middle of last year, I think, or something like that. And now they've brought it back as a permanent. So it is available once again since last week, and it is not going anywhere. It is a beast. It is pretty much, I don't know if we're going to do a full breakdown on the site now that it's got this permanent position, but it is very much everything that Hypermax is, and then some. It jacks up the energy, the focus. The performance, I think, is roughly the same. The pump surprisingly felt better despite that higher intensity of energy and focus. But it is, if you're a fan of Hypermax and you want, even if you didn't think it could be better, Hypermaxed Out is. So definitely check it out now that it's here to stay. Solid formula, and again, I love both of them. Hypermaxed Out a little bit more so, but yeah, check it out on the site, and you can get it now from Performax's website. The last story we have, the last two, sends us to Infinite Nutrition. So Infinite Nutrition, very similar to Enhanced Labs, and the brand I'm about to talk to you about next, it has been on a steamroll these past few weeks. I have mentioned them on a few occasions, but they have basically been doing one new supplement every week for the last month. This week, they have come out and surprised with more. They've done two, because why not? And these aren't your average creatine standalones or anything like that. These are solid supplements. So they did a hydration product, a nootropic. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. It's going to bug me. They did the calming supplement. And this past week, they announced the coming of two all-new products, both of them named as very straightforward as possible. There is Test Booster and Muscle Builder. Both of them inherently are designed to be muscle-building supplements, except Test Boosters obviously relies on testosterone boosting ingredients, whereas Muscle Builder is more of a natural anabolic that doesn't take the testosterone path as intense. Well, it's not going that way. And the idea is that you can indeed stack the two together. So if you were to buy the pair, there's no crossover. And they both work nicely together, as well as pretty much every other supplement in the Infinite Nutrition lineup. So even if you wanted to get Test Booster, Muscle Builder, and even Calm, they can all work with one another, as well as everything else. So pretty solid supplement. I think the ingredients are coming out today. We're recording this Monday for Muscle Builder, and then Test Booster, I'm gathering, will be tomorrow or the day after, because both are launching alongside one another later this week. My estimate is that they'll be closer to the end if they want to get the formula reveal for the two out. But I wouldn't be surprised if both of them are sitting in the $50 to $70 range. Typically, Test Boosters get that high. The Muscle Builder is peptide strong based, if I remember correctly. And so that might also help boost up the price. But don't be surprised if they're on the higher end. Again, Muscle Builder Test Boosters usually are. And I also would think that they might actually launch in a bundle. Especially, they are launching them alongside one another, and they can be stacked pretty perfectly, if I got to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sell the two, some sort of deal on buying the pair together, whether it's via code or just some stack that's always available. But the last story we have sends us over to Viking Power, who has been an absolute beast this past week. Hence why the picture in the background doesn't show any single supplement. It's a list of all the posts we shared on them over the past week, and they're incredible. So Viking Power is a house brand of Sports, one of the biggest retailers in Sweden, and it won our International Brand of the Year award in 2023 for numerous reasons, mostly that I can't really name one. I'm going to name a few. It has put together supplements that rival those in the US, which isn't something you typically see on an international scene. More importantly, the pace in which they pumped these new supplements out, as well as the categories they attacked, it was almost being nominated for overall brand of the year. if I have to say. And the formulas they put in, not just the categories, the ingredients, the formulas, just everything they did makes this one powerhouse brand. If it was in the US, it would be considered a formidable competitor, just purely out of the variety of products it has. I think it goes well into the 20s, and none of them, I think maybe a couple of them, are rather straightforward, but it is primarily an advanced brand, so you're paying a premium price and you get a boatload of ingredients, each for its specific purpose and category. And this past week they have added 2 more supplements, 3 products in total, and this comes after they released the stimulant-free version of their Leviathan pre-workout, and then a unflavored option for their premium, I think it's an 8-source creatine supplement called Kraken. But the 2 supplements we got this past week, and the flavor is for their signature, more mainstream level product, Mjolnir, or Thor's Hammer. And then the other 2 supplements, the catch with this is that I really don't know how to pronounce the supplements that they do. Some of them you can, some of them you can't, like Mjolnir. These are familiar names, thanks Marvel. But some of them are obviously not easily pronounced. But yeah, the 2 they've dropped, one of them is called Loki, which is a stimulant-free fat burner. And then the other one is a natural anabolic muscle builder called Glipner. I could be wrong on that, but you'll know what I'm talking about. And they're pretty solid. And this is kind of the theme that's been with all Viking Power supplements, is that traditionally with international formulas, you don't get the complexity or the advancement in formulations, but that has not limited Viking Power. It has been ridiculously impressive on that side of things. And Glipner doesn't, reflects that perfectly. It comes with a variety of ingredients, including InnoSlim, which is the premium ingredient from New Live. And as far as they told me, they were the first company in Europe to use that ingredient in a supplement. And then the other one they have is Glipner, which is a muscle building supplement that combines 2 key ingredients. It has a few other things in there, including as well with estrogen to help with absorption and overall efficacy. But the 2 main ingredients are testosterone and Lexogenin. And I wanted to point out, and I think this is pretty interesting, that this is something they felt needed to point out, was the purity or standardization, I guess. So when you get testosterone supplements, if you're not aware, a brand might say a gram of Turk or 500 milligrams of testosterone, but actually that dose is of the source. So this is common with other ingredients as well. You don't always necessarily get the key component, I guess, that it's known for, but the dose you're familiar with is the overall. And so if you were to get 500 milligrams of testosterone, as every supplement that I've seen, the hundreds of Turk that are out there, that 500 milligrams is based on Ajuga turkistanica, I think is how you pronounce it, and that's the source. And then that's typically labeled as standardized to 10% as testosterone. So in theory, you would be getting 50 milligrams. And so Viking Power wanted to highlight for Glipner that it is, you do get 100 milligrams of testosterone, but this is indeed the testosterone itself. So that comes from a gram of the original source. And they did the same for Lexogenin. But it's just, okay, if you're familiar with seeing the standardization and the source and whatnot and differentiating the 2, yeah. But I think it's worth pointing out just the fact that they wanted to highlight that as well, that it is a solid dose, and it is of the primary components. You can check out all those stories on the website. They got full breakdowns of all the supplements, including ingredients, where you can get them and whatnot. And that does it for this week. We'll be back again next week, going around all of the stories from this coming week. As always, all I ask to support is just visit the website, check us out on social, hit the site 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, every week. Make sure you read it all, take it all, get better, be better about when it comes to sports nutrition supplements. And share the website with your mom, your dad, your brother and your sister, your friends and family. And thank you again for listening, and look forward to having you back next time.